Hello and welcome back to Kirsten's Cove. So today's video is a little, with Echo coming out, we're going to talk about disability representation in the media. Because Echo is the first TV show. There was a movie Coda. Well, I get that. But Echo was the first TV show where the main character is disabled and the actor who plays them is disabled. Before you start in the comments or start going at it of, well, we had switched at birth, the main two characters, Faye and Daphne, weren't disabled. Daphne wasn't deaf, but played a deaf character. The actress who played Daphne wasn't deaf. She has a condition that will eventually make her go deaf, but she wasn't deaf at the time, and she's not deaf now. The supporting actors were deaf. So we finally have a show where we get as Laqua put it, a deaf character who is a badass. And apparently she's also an amputee in this, which is really cool. And there was a bunch of people in the comments. I saw like a news article saying that, it was the first show of this. And a bunch of people were like, no, Mr. X did it first. Or Professor X, not Mr. X, sorry. Professor X was the first one. The actor who played Professor X wasn't disabled. Not the first one. So sorry. And then you have Hawkeye, who eventually is losing his hearing, but we all know that he's not disabled. He's not actually deaf. And so the biggest thing that I want to say is cast disabled actors. Cast them. And there are times where I'm like, okay, yeah, fair, I get it, why a disabled actor wasn't cast. Like Hawkeye, even though he's deaf in the comics, with MCU, they intentionally cast him as a hearing person, and he was going to be a hearing character. It wasn't until much later that he started losing his hearing. I get why you cast a hearing actor, because originally that wasn't the plan. If you know from the get-go that this character is going to end up being disabled in some way, cast a disabled actor. Do it. And then you have shows like Daredevil, that the first show, part of me gets it, why you didn't cast a blind actor. But then Daredevil shows back up in She-Hulk, and it is set that he is a variant. You could have fixed the mistake that you made, because now we have the technology and the knowledge of how to safely do those stunts with a blind actor. You could have fixed the mistake, but you didn't. And that's where I think that's where I think things go wrong, of mistakes were made of not casting disabled actors in the past. Okay, fine. That's in the past. You can do it now. And oftentimes, and I don't want to disregard the progress that has been made, because there has been a lot of progress. You see people in wheelchairs in the background, or like Percy Jackson, there's a camper in a wheelchair, great. There's a dance movie with Sophia Carson that there's a deaf dancer, great, we're getting there. Side characters, I guess we're now side characters, yay. But also make it so their disability is not their character, that's not who they are. That's also a thing of they have more than their disability. It's not everything about them, or that's not their main character trait. Just so many marginalized communities fought for you had LGBTQ community fighting to be don't make that person's main personality trait that they're gay, or be the gay best friend and fall into those stereotypes. Same with disabilities. This is something that I feel when people are thinking about diversity and inclusion, disability is often left out. I remember seeing a study a couple of years ago saying that out of the companies that have a DEI program, only 4% of them actually include disabilities, because they're so focused which like is good that they're focused on these things, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be focused on these things. I'm saying open the scale a little bit and include disabilities. They're so focused on LGBTQIA and race and culture, which is great, but there's still a group that is othered and left to the side and burdened. And it's because of the systemic ableism that we have in society, and then I'll like specifically talking in this video in media, because even I was like, well, I get why they don't have a blind actor for Daredevil. Like, that'd be hard and it'd be unsafe. And then a friend of mine was like, yeah, no, they can absolutely do it. They just chose not to. We have the technology now. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. That's on me for thinking that way, because I was taught to think that way. We were all taught to think that way. And these studios make these excuses instead of trying to find solutions. And if people do present solutions to them, I hope seeing Echo shows that they can still go do stunts. If that's the issue, they can do it. It just, because I don't want to sound ungrateful, and that's the societal view of everything that has made me feel like if I speak up or have an opinion that is different, that I'm not being ungrateful, because I just got my first, and she's not even a superhero, she's a morally gray villain. I just got my first deaf MCU character, and why am I not more grateful that I actually got it? Why am I asking for more? But there should be more. Why don't we have a disabled princess? That's something that I want to see a Disney princess that is deaf or blind or in a wheelchair or uses a cane, something. Because every kid deserves to have somebody that looks like them, that acts like them, that is just like them on a screen. Every kid deserves that. I wish I had that. I wish I could have grown up with a princess that signed and made it seem like my disability was okay and it wasn't a burden, and I wish I could have had that. And so when I read Fourth Wing, switching kind of from TVs to books, I haven't read a lot of books with disabled characters, partially because, especially when I started back into reading, I wanted to escape the having to fight to feel like I belonged anywhere. So I just picked up mainstream books, and there's not really mainstream books that have disabled characters until Fourth Wing. And I felt so seen. There's a moment in the first book in Fourth Wing that Taryn says to Violet that strength is not only physical. And that meant everything. That book, so much of that book meant everything to me. But then when Rebecca talked about in an interview of it being made into a TV show, she said the only thing, she's gonna be pretty hands off, but the only thing that she requested was that Xaden is cast with a POC actor, because he is POC. Great, love that, absolutely should be. But there's nothing said of Violet should be cast with a disabled actor, because she is disabled. So there's again that systemic thought process of we have to have an able-bodied actor play her because no person with EDS could do it. Yeah, we can. Yes, we can. There are ways to safely do it, and should be told by someone who understands that story and can relate to her. I don't know, that's a whole other conversation. But why is that our thought process? All right, I'm not really sure how to end this, except for I do believe that it's going to happen, that one day we will have disabled main characters. that exist for more than the fact that they're disabled. One day we will have that, because these stories matter. Okay, but also, sorry, side note, then we'll end the video. When you do tell the stories about disabled people, or have a main character, or even a side character, reoccurring guest star, whatever it is, just like how Rick had a set of diversity writers come in when they cast Leah Jeffries as Annabeth, to make sure that they were, because it was, he had written it and he's white, so he wanted to make sure that it reflected that fact that a black girl was cast. You should have people at the table, in the room where it happens, making sure that you are telling the stories correctly and truthfully and wonderfully. Have disabled people on your cast, crew, all of it. Make them involved, so you aren't appropriating anything. Okay. With that in mind, these stories will happen. I truly believe, with everybody advocating for it. I think of Chrissy Marshall, who was at the Echo premiere, and that made me so happy to see her there. You have the deaf actors and the disabled actors who are saying and begging for more of this and advocating and talking about it. You have people like me who are just begging for more. I have so many friends who are advocates and allies for it, because it deserves that chance. I think one day we will have a Disney princess or prince that is disabled, and it'll be wonderful when these studios stop making excuses and finally are just give it a chance, give it a shot, the shot that it deserves, and not just, oh, we're just gonna throw them all out, put all the episodes out in one day because we don't think it'll do well enough. That they will treat it like this wonderful story that it is, and like it. Sometimes I get lost in the dreams of this, but I think that that's necessary. I just told a friend of mine, just take that moment and dream of everything that you want and get lost in it and drown in it, because it can be wonderful, and then go do the work to figure out how to do it. And I'm getting lost in the dreams of this, and that's exactly where I want to be, and that's exactly how this is going to happen. One day maybe I get to write a story, I get to write the script, or maybe I can get to act in it, I don't know, but one day it's going to happen. One day, someday, it's gonna happen, and it's going to be great. And I'm really excited for that day, that we see more than just 2 pieces of media, or 3, I guess, with Fourth Wing. It'll be a day when it's normal to have disabled actors playing disabled characters, and normal to see disabled characters in a show. It's not a, oh my gosh, this is so inspiring. We're not gonna have that. It's gonna be like, oh, yep, okay. One day it's gonna be normal, and it's gonna be great. And I'm excited for that day. If you have any questions about anything that I've talked about today, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them. I'm happy to talk about it more. And with that, I will see you all next week, and thank you so much for listening. Have a great rest of your day.